at the same time, instead of hitting $203, $313.
Like do a summary of
Try to
it.
write it down,
I'll tell them. Yeah, like 508 total. I'm sure you're right. And that was when she was brand new, so she might like now I'll be able to say, hey, she's total girl. I can talk to her.
6:30. All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. We'll need to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I need a motion to pay the bills. Motion. Second. Roll call.
Kirby?
Yes.
Pritchett? Zimmerman?
Yes.
Potter? Yes. Rosie? Yes. Wolfle?
Yes.
Meisner?
Yes. I need a motion to approve the open meeting minutes from October 14th, 2025.
Motion.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Kirby?
Yes.
Zimmerman?
Yes.
Potter? Yes. Rosie? Yes. Wolfle?
Yes.
Meisner?
Yes. CM Student Council update.
Can you hear me? Okay. Good evening, Board of Education members and guests. This month was very exciting for CM with all the events that took place. To kick our week off in CM, we started off with the homecoming week. We had Generation Day, Theme Day, Color Wars. Then on Thursday we had Purple and Gold Day with an amazing pep assembly at the end of the day. Friday we had our annual parade and our football game against Muscuda, and everyone in the town seemed to come and cheer the high school on. The homecoming dance went very well. Everyone seemed to love the theme, and everything went very smoothly in the process of it all. In October, most of our fall sports are coming to an end as well, so on October 7th, the girls' tennis team had their senior night celebrating Abigail Harms, Taylor Clendenny, and Sarah Mueller, and Abigail Harms finished 4th at sectionals, making it 103 wins of her CMH career, and she headed off to state today. Then the boys soccer team had their senior night on October 16th, and Tuesday was the senior night for the volleyball team, so they recognized their only senior, Keegan Thomas. The cross country team has been doing very well. The boys team finished first in the Madison County cross country meet, and the girls team finished 6th overall. The boys won the Mississippi Valley Conference, and the girls placed 5th. And we had 4 boys get all MVC: Logan Kirby, Bowden Duffy, Jacob Cranford, and Max Robert. This Friday is the last football game of the season. At this game, we are going to recognize other fall sports seniors such as band, golf, cross, cheer, and football. This upcoming Sunday is Unified Bowling Sectional in Fairview Heights, and the athletes and coaches are so excited to make the trip and get to play with competing schools. We had our first Eagle Eye discussion of the year this last Monday, so we got a lot of feedback from students, parents, and staff. A fun event that Educators Rising plans every year is coming up on October 30th. We will open the school to have a trunk or treat in the classrooms, and many clubs and organizations volunteer to decorate a room and pass out candy for all the dressed up students. That's all that I have for today. Thank you for your time, and I am excited to see you next month with the exciting CM news.
One thing that Mackenzie failed to mention is at the homecoming coronation, she was named Homecoming Queen for 2025.
sure
Thank
that was
you.
intentional.
We're good.
Trippy Middle School. Hello, I hope you all are well. In the month since we last met, we have made considerable progress as a student council. We are finishing up the final stages of preparing for our fall dance, and we are super excited to get to finish up the preparations and enjoy the results. In our previous meetings, we've done some very nice decorations and other items that we are very eager to share the experience with the school, especially for the 6th graders, with this being their first school dance. Another exciting development is a leadership workshop that we are attending in Mattoon Middle School, which is about two and a half-ish hours northeast from here. This will be a great opportunity for the people in our student council to meet people from other schools and learn how to be a successful leader. It will also be an excellent chance for the student council to bond a bit more and for students to become friends. Another thing that I am very excited about is the Veterans Day Assembly that we are holding next month. It will be a great way to honor and show appreciation for the people that have fought and served our country. For this assembly, we will welcome local veterans and people in the military from families of students to join the assembly. I will be giving a little speech, and the band and choir will perform, and we will celebrate all that have served. Finally, we are currently working on scheduling a lock-in for the members of Student Council, so that way we can talk a bit more about the events that will take place throughout the year, play some games, and do some leadership activities to help the students become more successful student leaders. From past experience, this will be a super fun way to learn more, and I'm confident that this will be a very memorable experience for a lot of them.
All right, Justin and the PE department.
Yes, so CM was selected as the first to go to present from each building each month. Oh, I'm sorry, am I supposed to be up there? I can't hear you.
Awesome. So right there we go. So each month a school will be presenting, and I know you're asking the PE department. So at the end of last year, May, we did a recap about the PLC process, and I was just struck by all the data that they collect. And I know you're saying PE department collects data, and we've made a lot of changes in our department, and they are going to present. So come on down. Ladies and gentlemen, lady and gentlemen. Feel like I should announce them like basketball. 6'2" guard, Mike Parmentier. Okay. Yes.
Good evening. We are the Civic Memorial PE Department. Today we are going to talk to you guys about the advancements we're having in our Weight Fit program, the addition of Ms. Parrish's Mindfulness PE, and several policy changes and procedural changes that we've had that we've seen have a big impact on our student engagement and involvement in classes. The first one we're going to look at here is the Civic Weight Fit advancement that is taught by Coach Reynolds and myself. Part of this program is that when I was brought in and hired last June, one of the things that they talked to me about was Coach Jarman's goal to have a united weightlifting program that all of our weightlifting coach, that all of our athletic coaches felt comfortable sending their students to trust them, that they were going to get the proper strength and conditioning that they needed to prepare to compete at the highest levels. And that is what our vision is to create and continue to develop that program that every coach feels that they can send their kid, that they're going to receive the training and nourishment and development that they need to compete. We want to provide the highest quality strength and conditioning program so that we can have those athletes that are capable of competing and earning not just conference championships, but are also pushing for state championships as well. One of the major pushes that we are going to use is through data-driven, science-backed training methodologies. We use smart technology through the output sports system. We don't attack every single athlete as a singular entity. We differentiate, and we'll talk about that further. We actually address each of our athletes' needs and the continued partnerships that we've developed over the last 2 years. So at the heart of our Weight Fit program is the Output Sports app. This is a new technology. It's called velocity-based training. So pretty much all of the things that we thought about athletic training, the way that I was raised initially was brought up in the strength and conditioning world, is wrong, right? The whole grind until you go to failure is wrong, and moving more towards what we call load management. That instead of going until complete failure, that we need to be watching and chasing speed and going into particular training zones rather than just grinding out. And in fact, like I said, grinding out is actually detrimental. It creates slower, less powerful athletes. And so this new technology, which as you can see in the upper right there, is a device that is worn by all of our student athletes. It tracks bar speed, it tracks how high they jump, it tracks the angle at which they are doing certain lifts and activities. This is all monitored through the device that's connected to cellular devices that they use. We monitor it on the output hub. We can see all of the workouts that they do. We can see the power that they generate. We can see when red flags get raised for different aspects of it. We see weakening in student athletes that is indicated that they might be having some injury issues. We pull students off, and it allows them to really go to where they're at in their training. It drives accountability because we can sit there and see how quickly they get done with their workouts. We can say, hey, you did 5 workouts in the span of 2 minutes. Let's be real here, okay? And so that's one of the things that there. But really one of the things that is most important for us is that we're not just developing student athletes physically, but also mentally. Student athletes are the most susceptible to depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideations. And one of the major aspects of the output device is that we do SEL check-ins with our students every single day. We monitor that every single day. They go through, before they start their workout, they do a simple 5-question, how are you feeling mentally today? How is your body feeling today? How is your stress levels today? And we outline that with them. We go through, we talk with them. Hey, if you're feeling awesome today, that's a 5. If you're feeling like you need to talk to somebody, put a 1 in there and we'll get the support that you guys need, okay? And so one of the things that this has done, it promotes reflection, helps identify students needing support. I went over and coordinated with our MTSS coordinator today. We implemented this system at the beginning of 2nd semester. We have had 22 referrals, 5 of whom used that information to either start a new 504 IEP or provide additional supports for them, and 2 of whom had serious mental health issues that we were able to get them additional supports outside of school that have been beneficial, and we've had conversations with those student athletes. So for us, it's more than just the data that gets put back on the physical aspect of it, but it's us developing them holistically as a student athlete and caring about them more than just being a student or an athlete, but who they are as a person as well. One of the things that we do in this program is we don't want to have a singular identity as to who we are in lifting. Every person needs something different, and so we actually have 4 classes inside each of our Weight Fit classrooms. We have groups that are in the power, which is our wrestlers, our football players, and our track and field athlete throwers. And this is more of the traditional higher end, big weights, throw them around. We have our functional lifting group, which is, these are more of your soccer players, your volleyball players, people who don't necessarily need to bench press 350 pounds, but instead have other key aspects that they need to be targeting. And so we focus more on posterior chain development and ensuring that they have the agility and explosiveness to be top tier athletes in their specific. We had block 0, which is an introductory and safety to technique. One of the things is that we can't just throw all of these student athletes into this class and expect them to keep up with freshmen keeping up with the seniors who are advanced and doing extremely complex lifts. So I was fortunate I had a student teacher this year, Vinny Kafaza, and he and I oversaw the Block Zero, and he worked personally with very small groups to ensure that they were trained properly. And then we also have our in-season athletes. So all of our starting varsity athletes are allowed to do maintenance and fatigue management to ensure that they're at peak performance for whenever their varsity competitions come through. Over the last year and a half, we've been able to create many successful collaborations. Predominantly, we're working with Mr. Aaron Season and Mrs. Leah Bruckner, our athletic trainers. I work with them on a daily basis, creating not just rehab, but also prehab programs for student athletes where we've identified weaknesses, knee issues, back issues, students coming off of injuries. We don't want to send them out because generally that means that they're going to be off of the, taken off of the shelf per se. And so we try to create rehab programs with the guidance of the certified athletic trainers, as well as prehab programs as well, in which case we identify students and say, hey, we don't like the way this is looking before it becomes an issue. We're going to focus more on these issues over here. We have our connections with the social worker and the MTSS team, working on the emotional health, and we talked about focusing on, ensuring that our student athletes are mentally in a great place. But we've also created a partnership with Optimum Nutrition, in which case we have a protein supplement sponsorship where our student athletes can purchase protein, which is vital to their recovery, at an extremely discounted rate. We were able to start a program where they actually have access to protein within the classroom. They buy fundraising cards, which we get a very small portion of that to help purchase and supply the weight room, but they can come in immediately, walking out of the door of the Weight Fit classroom. They get their protein shakes, and then they go back into the locker room and go back and get ready for class. So the Weight Fit, we believe, I was a person who I was very fortunate and lucky to have a very well and strong developed weight program where I came from. This is something that we are excited about bringing here to Civic Memorial, that all of our student athletes feel that they can trust in what we're doing, that they can all have a unified lifting program. So everybody's on the same page, everybody can talk the same language. We are excited about the output program, which we're very fortunate to have. Last year, a large portion of that was paid for through a grant for social emotional well-being. We're very excited and hopeful that that grant will be renewed, especially with the data that we're able to put forward and showing that we're using it effectively, which is the most important part, that we're making sure that our student athletes are safe, especially with the risks that they receive. But this is also one of the other important factors is that these students are working together. It's not the basketball team working by itself or the football team working by itself, but instead they're all working together. They're all seeing the work and effort that each of them are putting in, and we're growing and developing in school pride that way because they are excited to see their classmates do well in their own competitive fields.
All right. So mindfulness PE has, it came about last year. Was that right, Mr. Gold? We started on it the year before, working on it, and implemented it last year. So with this, we take students that are at risk for different reasons and pull them out of regular physical education class, and they come to my classroom, and we deal with, you name it, we deal with it on a daily. That's no lie. But we do a lot of enhanced communication. We try to build the trust among the students. A lot of them that are in there feel like they have no voice. So when they come into that classroom, they have a voice, and they have no friends, they feel like, and they create friendships. So it's communication, building trust, the collaboration, resolve conflict all the time, because it's high school kids. They get into drama, and those are usually the drama kids, not gonna lie. So we work through that and give them skills that, other than taking it to another level. They are able to talk through things and use communication. Leadership, the kids that you don't normally see in a leadership role have stepped up because they feel like they're valid. They have a voice and they're being heard. and it's a great program. It has really enhanced our regular physical education classes because we have the athletes out, so the kids don't feel like they're in with the jocks. They don't feel like they're lost because I teach a regular PE class as well, and the mindset is totally different, absolutely totally different. And what you get from those children is more. The kids that used to stand along the wall don't stand along the wall anymore. They're involved. They're having fun. They're playing. Kids don't want to miss PE. And that was a huge thing because they would do anything to get out of PE. They didn't like it. So now they come to mindfulness and they're a part of that, or they're in the regular classroom and excelling like you wouldn't believe. So I thank Mr. Newell for this, and I think it's really helped our PE department excel.
Who remembers writing sentences for not dressing out in PE? Yeah. So we really took time focusing on our policies and our procedures in terms of every avenue, in terms of making sure that just in general PE is a safe environment from the moment students come into class, entering the locker room. We had almost like we had not shot clocks, just clocks in. Hey, as soon as this bell's done, you got to be out. And then, so really just the time that students are engaged in the locker room was cut down a lot, and that helped with a lot of behaviors and things like that. But really, the big thing that we focused on is the dress cut policy change. In the past, after 4 dress cuts for the quarter, students failed PE, and then it made it very, very difficult for them to pass the next quarter and pass for the semester. So when we moved to a semester-based grade, so we really focused on the why. Why are students not dressing out? Why are they not engaged in PE? What do we need to change in terms of our policies to help them get there? And like we said, moving from a quarter grade to a semester grade and just making more accountability and restorative justice for these students when they don't dress out, so that one dress cut did not ultimately affect their grade as it would previously. So the first time a student receives a dress cut in PE, the first time they grab a reflection paper, so this works on the restorative justice, and we get a lot of really good feedback from these students. They write a 3-paragraph paper, which is really difficult for high school students sometimes, but they're talking about why they did not participate or dress out. It could have been because they just simply forgot their clothes. Maybe their clothes didn't get washed over the weekend, and maybe they were in a financial spot and they didn't have money to rent, or they feel like they couldn't approach friends to ask for money to rent PE clothes. So by answering these questions, not just why they didn't dress out, but also how it will affect their grade and how they'll be more prepared in the future, we really saw a dramatic change in the amount of dress cuts that we issue throughout every day. And if you look at the fall 2023, that was 290 dress cuts just in one semester. Then if you look at the fall of 2024, just changing our policies, that was down to about 97. And then spring semester, seniors get senioritis. That date is a little skewed, but that was only about 125 or so. And then not only are students, like we said, receiving less dress cuts, but they're aware more so of the penalties. First dress cut, they get the reflection form. They have to fill that out. Second time, they're getting a Friday night school. Third time, also Friday night school. Those continue to add up. And then the fourth on, 10% grade cut. So a student who had a 93 then goes to an 83. And guess what? They have 3 Friday night schools to serve as well. And something that works really, really well for us is when a student takes in a no dress, they're getting a pass from whoever their teacher is, and then that teacher is sending an email to our assistant principals, Mrs. Resnick and Mr. Meyer, and typically our ISS teacher is also included on that. And if the student doesn't have a pass, they don't make it to ISS. So sometimes we forget, we gotta, write those out. But like I said, students in ISS, we get the feedback from them that they did make it where they're supposed to be, so that cuts down on students wandering the halls because there's accountability from everybody knowing students are where they're supposed to be. And then also the feedback from the assistant principals of when they check in with this kid, not only about their reflection form, but hey, why didn't you participate in it today? And sometimes we've been able to find students where they're at, and if they've needed PE shoes, we've gotten them shoes. If it's been money for PE clothes and we didn't know they were on the free and reduced, or they weren't there but they needed to be, helps us with that accountability as well, so we're able to help meet our students where they're at. And then we're also seeing higher grades and better participation in PE because like these other teachers have talked about, students who previously would be on the sidelines would be like going 3 locker columns down, hey, do you have $2 so I can rent? Like they want to be in class, and that's really, really good.
Thank you, guys.
That would be a very nice positive article.
School improvement plans.
How they talk in this.
So tonight, our building principals are going to present to you their school improvement plans for this year. They're going to present their plans based on different data points. You'll see that our elementaries are pretty much the same set of data, so you'll kind of see how that grows over time. But one thing I did want to point out that you will see that looks very odd when you start looking at some of these charts is in the past, there's the big tests in the state of Illinois, right? At high school, for now, it's the ACT. We'll see what it is in a year or two, but for now it's the ACT, right? Then our elementary students take the Illinois Assessment of Readiness, or the IAR test. We also take the Illinois Science Assessment. Those scores, some had 4 levels that you could score in, like above proficient, right? Some had 5. The other thing that was happening that was kind of wonky was that the state of Illinois had set their expectations much higher than the College Board set their expectations, and then backwards mapped that. So students in the state of Illinois that were scoring maybe below proficiency, if you compared them to students in another state, they actually would have scored in proficient or mastery based on those. So Illinois spent the last year and a half doing what they called right sizing. And so they took all of our assessments and have now aligned those into 4 categories so that we can much easier track students as we go along. And then they have readjusted those rates of what it takes to be proficient or mastery and below. So you'll see in the chart that in the past they have historical data and it may have 5 columns and then all of a sudden it jumps to 4. So it's a little hard to do true historical data comparisons. But I just wanted to point that out because when you, like I said, you'll see it in the slides and it will be glaringly look a little odd. So we're going to start with Bethalto East.
Okay, good evening. I'm going to start with our ELA historical data. So we saw kids coming in this year about 8% higher than in the past, which is exciting because our kindergartners who rose up to first grade 9% higher than they had in the past. And then we had our kindergarten group this year coming in 11% higher as well. And what's really neat with that is last year was the first year that we were benchmark screening our 4-year-olds who were going to be rising into kindergarten, and those kids came in with that exposure in pre-K, scoring higher than a lot of our students who did not have that same exposure. So we were glad to see that. Some of our goals. So we set our goal last year. We had a 3% growth goal as measured for increasing the risk of students in the low risk to college pathway. And then last year we had 50% showing typical aggressive growth. Well, we exceeded our typical and aggressive growth by 18% last year, so we did up that growth goal to 65% this year for our 65% of our students to show typical or aggressive growth. We're really excited about the U-Fly program that we are implementing across K and 1. We're already seeing, we had our benchmark meetings today, and we're already seeing like our conversations around where students are at and what they're doing at this moment is changing. Typically, we were talking in kindergarten about letter names. Now we're talking about letter sounds. In first grade, we were on can kids decode, and now we're like, let's put them in like a reading measure for like paragraph reading. So it's really exciting to see that. And the new program coupled with our RTI process where we are pulling kids into tier 2 and tier 3 interventions. We have a block RTI schedule this year that we're super excited about, that Eagle time. And just continuing the work with our PLTs where they are looking at that data, they're unit planning, they're creating common formative assessments. For math, we also saw this year we're beginning higher, 3% higher than years in the past. So we're excited to see what our kids are going to carry on with math. And we also saw that we had a decrease in the amount of kids who are in that high risk area. For our goals, we maintained our goal where we were at last year because we were right there at that goal. And we continued with that aggressive growth goal of 67% of our kids showing that. A lot of the same work, we're working in our PLTs to plan units, plan CFAs, talk about student data, and then also just building up those conversations about how we respond to students whenever they need more support or whenever they need more enrichment opportunities. As far as our SEL data this year, in our grade level, this is a teacher survey, so the teachers input data on a survey for students. And you can see this year we came in at 89%, which is pretty on par with the average of where we see our kindergarten and first grade students entering with that SAVERS data. So hopefully we'll see, you know, the same type of growth that we typically see as well. We have amazing supports in our building. Especially with the addition of our social worker who is pulling small groups and just really amazing at meeting the needs of our students. We also have continued with our PBIS, beefing up that tier 1 system building wide. We start with that Eagle Way Academy where we're really explicit in how we're sharing with kids like what expectations are in the hallway, bathroom, cafeteria, recess, classroom. We have our SEL programs that we use within our classrooms. And our school social worker, if we see a high need in a classroom, she will push in and do an additional whole group zones of regulation, which is really amazing for our kids to have an opportunity for. We have Tier 2 supports with our check-in, check-out, and then again, as I've mentioned, those SEL groups that are led by our social worker. Attendance. So our attendance shows that our preschool continues to trend upward, which is awesome. You know, if we can get these kids starting really young here every day, build those habits, we know that they'll carry into kindergarten and first grade. So historically, we're seeing a trend upward. Some of the things that we're doing as we're continuing to try and build that great attendance is we review our attendance data weekly, and then monthly we also discuss it at our universal team meeting. We do recognitions by classroom, so it's the all eagles in the nest. If they earn that for 10 days with all students in the classroom, then they get to have 10 extra minutes of recess, which they love. We have our attendance club where we meet with students in the morning who are at or below 85% with their attendance, and that it's really awesome because they think that it's like a school leadership team, because I tell them that You know, I just want to meet with them and know what it is that they love about school. So they think that this is like, you know, they're part of like a really important club, and they are, and it's amazing to get to talk with them and meet with them every morning. We do share our attendance data weekly with our staff, and then monthly I put it out in our parent newsletter. We just started sending out emails like CM does, where, well, or like text messages where we're, you know, really like, hey, way to go, you know, you're almost there with those students who are about 80 to 89%. And then also sending out monthly to the students who are above 90% to celebrate them and to let their parents know we appreciate them getting them to school each day. Starting at this quarter, we do a weekly drawing on Monday for students who are at or above 90%, and they get a choice of like a book or a stencil, and we're giving them that recognition for getting to school each day. Doing it on Monday will hopefully push the kids through the rest of the week. And then, of course, we send home letters to let parents know whenever we're getting concerned about attendance. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
Good evening, guys. Okay, so for Parkside, with this being my first year, we will go over all of the data, but just so you know, I'm really focused on what we're doing this year and where we're going to go from here, right? Like, we have a lot of new people at Parkside, myself included, so we're looking to the future and the things that we can change to improve what's going on. So if we look at some of our historical data for ELA, we are technically down 4% from where we started last year, but we are even from where we ended at the, in the spring of last year. So we didn't lose any ground over the summer. So I'll, kind of take that as a win. As Alyssa was talking about, our historical data did change a lot from them redoing those cut scores. So if you look at the positive, we went from technically only having 1% exceed up to 7%. If you do the math, we had 55% of our students that were partially or did not meet, and now we're only at 13%. So those cut scores changing really did drastically change our numbers as well for the positive. For our ELA goals, we want to try to raise at a minimum of 3%. I mean, if we want to be drastic, we would say 4% to get back up to where we were, but we just want to make sure that our students are growing. So 50% in typical or drastic growth would be awesome. All of the things that we're doing, we have a dedicated intervention block called Eagle Time where our teachers actually share students amongst all the different classrooms, and they're divided between whatever needs that they have for that unit. We do a lot of CFAs on both ELA and math, so it's divided amongst how those students rank in their CFAs. So those groups change every quarter or every unit. We do 3 rounds of reading rounds a day where the students get to choose 3 different activities to do independently, where the teacher also has a small group that they're working with. We have our instructional coaches going around. We do benchmark meetings during those. That's a whole day meeting where all of our title, Ms. Weber, myself, our psych, we all sit down and we actually look at individual students and what we can do to better those students as an individual instead of looking at the whole grade. And then we are actually stretching UFly into 3rd grade. This year it's technically goes to 2nd grade, but we want to make sure that we're filling in those gaps with it being a new curriculum, so we're stretching into 3rd grade as well. For math, if you see, again, we did go down 1%, but from the spring to this fall, we're up 5%, so something happened over the summer there, so we'll take that. If you look at the next slide, again, we're going down to 4 columns here instead of 5, so we increased those that are above proficient by 3%. If you add up the partially and did not match, you're at 39% last year, and now we're only at 19%. So again, those cut scores make a drastic difference.
For our math goal, it looks very similar. We're trying to increase by 1%, but more importantly, we want to see that aggressive and typical growth from the fall to the spring. So we're hoping to have no less than 20% with a flat growth. We have a lot of the same like action goals that we do with math as we do with ELA. So you'll see a lot of similar like vocabulary there with the intervention blocks and the small groups and the benchmarks and the CFAs. With our SEL goals in our data, we want to make sure that we have at least 90% of our students in that low risk category, and we have met that pretty much every year for the past handful of years. So we're really proud of that. We need to make sure that our students are ready to learn, right? Like at second and third grade, if their individual needs are not being met, then they're not going to be able to learn the instruction that we need them to. So we do have our students at second and third grade take their own SABRs. Chrissy was talking about how only her teachers fill it out. This data is the teachers' data, not the students. But we also have a new social worker and a new psych. So we're implementing lots of new things at Parkside. For example, we have our Eagle Academy that Chrissy talked about as well. We kind of cover a lot of the same things. Every Friday we give out Eagle Way Awards. These are little certificates that the students can be issued from any staff member just for going above and beyond for any number of things. During our morning meeting, we have a mindful moment. As soon as we get to the classroom, the first thing they do is an SEL curriculum. Our teachers are doing minor tallies on just basic behavior they're seeing within the classroom. We have an SEL team, we have a universal team, we have an SEB team, we have all kinds of committees that meet to talk about students. We have a character assembly each month that I run with each grade level that we talk about a different word that we kind of focus on for the month. Our students can earn positive behavior assemblies. So we just earned our last golden egg today. So our students are earning that for next Friday where they'll get to do pumpkin bowling. So that'll be fun. Next week is Red Ribbon Week. So we'll be dressing up for all of those days. We got all kinds of fun SEL things going on. And then last is attendance. We can't get that ELA and math up if our students aren't at school. So this is something that we are really, really pushing this year. From 24 to 25, we were down almost 1.5%, so we'll take that. I would like to point out that we are at 15.3% and the state average is 25.4. So even though we would like to get it down, we are well below the state average. And then the last thing is I do still kind of believe that our attendance data is a little skewed just because it is still kind of early in the school year, but we do want to get that down as low as we can. Currently, we are at 91% of our students that are at 90% or higher of attendance, so that is great. We also had 24% of our students that had perfect attendance. So I gave out perfect attendance, little certificates, and it took me 2 days to get through all of them. So that is a good problem to have. All of the ways that we do attendance are very similar to what East does. We talk about data at our staff meetings, at our weekly newsletter that I send out. We are starting to send out weekly thrill share messages to families, encouraging them to get their students there. We have the 3 letters that we send out at different thresholds. We have attendance club. We will be polling names on Mondays as well for those students that are in attendance. So just anything we can do to encourage them to be there and talking to parents about what we can do to help them get their kids there as well. Any questions?
Make this very simple for you this evening because besides our data, most of the things that we're doing K-5 are pretty consistent for our kiddos. So if you look up here, it's our ELA historical data with our FastBridge data. Overall, we saw a decrease in the proficiency and a little bit of an increase on the high risk. So if you look across, it's we're pretty stagnant across there. So we are aware of that, and now we need to put some action into it. But I have to say our teachers are working extremely hard. They're very aware of the data. But if you go into our IAR data, I have to say this was a little confusing at first going down to 4, but we are making a lot of progress here. We had 6.3 increase in students scoring above proficient and proficient. So that indicates that overall achievement is going up. And there was a decrease in that below proficient category. What's super exciting is we are seeing kids in that approaching proficient category moving on. So we're seeing them kind of move from that low end to that high end, so we know we're doing things to get to that grade level expectation. So our goals for this year are 44% of our students demonstrate typical or aggressive growth from fall to spring, with a 2% increase from last year. We will also have 49% of our students at or above proficiency. And the reason why we're going to maintain that is the last couple of years we kept seeing this drop, right? Like we're like, what's going on? Why does this keep dropping? So what we want to do is break that downward trend. So we want to maintain where we are with proficiency at kids meeting that benchmark level. Our IAR goal, we want to see a 2% increase there, for 53% of our students will meet or exceed at the IAR. Many of the action steps that you see here are very similar to what they're doing at East and Parkside. Something that's a little different is last year we implemented departmentalizing across 4th and 5th grade. It has been fantastic. So if you aren't aware of this, students have 2 teachers instead of 1. So one teacher teaches the ELA content, the other teaches the math, science, social studies, and then they flip. It has been great to see teachers are able to hone into one content area, and students kind of get that feel of middle school and start organizing them and getting them ready for the day. It has been great. We also were able to designate title blocks during the day, so every teacher knows exactly when they're going to go to a tier intervention, so they're not missing that tier 1 instruction. We need tier 1 instruction for all of our kids. And we do the reading initiatives, which are a big deal right now with the new vending machine. So they get tokens if they are a top reader, and we're able to get books in the hands of our students. We have small group instruction going on. Mrs. Newell has been an amazing instructional coach, getting in and doing some cycles with us in our classrooms. We've seen some really cool things with teachers observing each other for best strategies and best practices. And then our PLTs are just knocking it out of the park, going into those unit planning and CFAs and really looking at our student data and who's getting it, who's not, and what do we do and act on it promptly. For math historical data, we didn't see a change in our college pathway or low risk. So like you see, it's the last several, winter, spring, and fall have been sitting at that 48%. So we're like, we know, hey, now's the time to take the move and make the jump with our kids that we currently have here. Our IAR data, we saw a 7.3% increase of that above proficient and proficient. So those, if you see that jump, and our approaching, we made a big gain there. So it's kind of tricky because that low proficient looks like, well, we're kind of staying there, but when you go from 5 to 4, it's really hard to sometimes compare that data. But we are seeing an increase, and I feel like we're headed in the right direction with our IAR data. We'd like to see 51% of our students show typical or aggressive growth from start score on the FastBridge Math assessment from fall to spring, so that's another 2% increase. And then 50% of our students will achieve proficiency in the spring with a 2% increase. And the same thing with IAR. This is the area that I feel like our teachers are really digging into, looking at our skills. And then it gets tricky in 4th and 5th grade because K through 3, they do a lot of skills, right? Building those skills. When they get to 4th and 5th grade, it becomes that application piece, taking the skill and applying it. So getting them to think that critical thinking and how to apply it to things. We have something that's different with math goals for our action steps is the enrichment groups. Our STEAM teacher, Mrs. Rule, pulls 4th grade and a 5th grade enrichment group, and they're doing something really cool this year. It's through Odyssey, so it's a lot of problem solving. They have a problem, and then they build it and do this critical, and they have a chance to go and compete on it in Belleville in February. So it's pretty exciting. They have to raise their own funds for this, for their materials. They are kicking off, and I feel like they are just itching to get going on this. So if you ever have time to stop out and see STEAM, it is pretty exciting to see that hands-on. Something else that I think most of this is the same as ELA with their PLTs, like reviewing the standards, looking at CFAs, and then really digging into that small group instruction for sure. Our SEL data has pretty much stayed the same over the past couple of years. As you see, like the fall is the purple. Well, I feel like kids are really excited to be at school, and then by spring they're kind of like, okay. But something that's different at Meadowbrook is this is student data. So students take the SABRE, and we look at the percent of students in low risk. So this is their feedback that they give us. But overall, they are making gains, and we know that our students are ready to come into school. And this also allows us to kind of look at classrooms and push in staff in those areas as well. Got ahead of myself here. Let's see. So our goal is to increase that by 2%. And what we'd like to do is kind of get out of that slipping down in the spring if we could keep them maintain that into the fall and keep going forward. But we do a lot of the same SEL things as you see at East and Parkside with Tier 1 implementing those Meadowbrook Hero Cards. You probably see it all over Facebook. We put 2 good behavior assemblies on our student advisory. That's student-led behavior assemblies, which is really exciting. Sometimes I'm like, what idea are they going to bring? And yes, we're staying safe with no injuries this year or anything like that. We do have our school-wide behavior system to reinforce positive behaviors. We use Class Dojo. Every Friday they get to use their points and buy from the ticket store. We do Caring Classroom Community. We do a mindful moment. And if you noticed, our student advisory students have started doing our mindful moment every Thursday, so it's student-led. And now I have kids asking, can I sign up for our morning meeting and do mindful moments? So getting kids involved and getting the day started with them is super exciting. We do a lot of Tier 1, Tier 2, check-in, check-out. Tier 3 is our small group SEL. And then our nurse maintains a cares closet, so we're meeting those needs outside of the school day as well. But we're doing a lot of the same things there. We're getting more family engagement opportunities because we do feel it's important to bring our families into our school to see what's going on and make that partnership with them. And let's see, attendance. So we did see an increase, as you can see, with the chronic absenteeism. But I do feel like we are on it across the district this year, especially with kind of that attendance MTSS we have with the letters, doing the positive reinforcement. So our goal is to, I think it's on the next one, is to lower that by 2%. I think we could do more than 2%, but I don't want to like shoot us in the foot or anything with that. But monthly attendance letters are going on. We have an attendance club as well. We have an amazing Stacy Darcy meets with our kids. They track their own attendance data. And so we had, I think, 3 kids graduate out of that, and we do a big deal with them. And we did our first quarter perfect attendance this morning, and we had to go to the foyer. I don't know Mrs. Cazero, but we had a ton of kids. I probably should have counted it, and they were so excited and proud. Don't think we've had that many before. I thought, oh, this will go really fast. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to shoo them to the foyer. There were so many. So I was super excited to see them excited about being at school. One thing I did want to say, sorry, I know we're going back, but we just had our benchmark meetings, and I meant to mention this about our tier group. So we track how many kids go in and out of our tiers. So Tier 3 being the most intense. We had 32 students either go down a tier or be released from tiers just in 1 quarter, and we only had 8 go up or had to receive like a targeted tier. So our tiers are working. That's kudos to our teachers and our title team putting in the work for our Tier 1 instruction. So that was a huge shout out to them. So we are seeing some gains and progress at Meadowbrook. And I think that's it. Am I good? Any questions?
Thank you.
Shelby and I did not plan on dressing alike, but we kind of did tonight. So, all right. So mine should go pretty quick because many have already explained. So for our ELA Fast Bridge data, we saw a 2% increase from last year's fall to this year's fall benchmarking. With our IAR data, we show an increase by 2% in the amount of students that were considered exceeds or above proficient. And then also, if we compare the meets from the years past and proficient, we increased by 8% for ELA. So our goal this year is we're really focusing on those bubble kids. So those kids that are approaching proficient, we want to get them into proficient. So we want our scores to increase by 2% from approaching proficient to proficient. Of course, we want to raise our proficient to above proficient, but really focusing on the bubbles kids that are almost there, but not quite there yet. All right, so for our math historical data, we showed just a 1% increase from last year's fall to this year's fall. And then for our math historical data, I do want to preface this by saying that we anticipated that we might have a drop in our math scores. We had a beloved teacher pass away last year, and then having different subs and different people in and out of that classroom to try to teach math, as well as we did have a teacher take an extended maternity leave. So we were kind of down 2 math teachers last year. So I just wanted to say that our goal for next year, or for this school year, is the same thing. We want to move those kids from approaching proficient to proficient because we had 46.4% in approaching proficient, and we want to definitely raise the proficiency and above proficient for that. All right, so SEL historical data, we use the 5 essentials for our students to determine this. And bathroom and hallway safety is always a focus for our students. It's those unstructured times where students can maybe not feel safe or get into some trouble due to TikTok trends in the bathroom, things like that. So our goal is we would like to raise our points by 5 points on the 5 essentials. One new thing we're doing this year, and Mr. Reinecke did a wonderful job getting this set up, we're using Securely Hall Pass. So students, when they sign out to use the restroom, they sign out on their computer. The teachers have to allow them to sign out. They have to click a button on their end. But it also shows our teachers, okay, hey, there's already 3 students in this restroom, so it shows up red for our teachers. So, we gotta wait to use the restroom. Or so-and-so is not supposed to be in the restroom together. It'll show, and then it'll also indicate, So there's some really cool things about this that we're really excited about, and we just rolled that out to start second quarter, so we're getting used to it. We're tweaking things, and we're eventually going to be able to use it for hallway. If there are students that shouldn't be in the hallway together, things like that, it'll notify teachers if they ask to leave. So we're hoping that that helps with our students feeling safe in the bathroom and hallways. And our attendance data. When I saw this, I about cried, but it's okay, we can only go up, right? So our attendance data did drop quite a bit, so our chronically absent students did increase. We are still not as high as the state average, but we definitely have room to grow. We did have some illness hit us last year in November and February where lots of staff and students were out for various reasons. The flu hit us hard last year. So for attendance, we are doing what everyone else has talked about, where we're sending those positive text messages for those that are 90% or above. And then so those, what we like to call our bubble kids, are those between the 80 and 89% threshold, sending out those notifications to parents as well. And then really focusing on our chronically absent students, trying to incentivize them to come to school. Tomorrow, all of our students are going to take a survey to identify staff members that they feel safe with, and we're going to use that data to connect kids that maybe didn't put anybody down, or then also share that with data like, hey, this student put you down as someone that they feel connected with, and then use that to try to help these teachers also meet with these kids, because they can hear it from the administrators all day long, but it helps when we have more people trying to make positive impact. So, any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I gotta move around. All right, so CM, are you guys still with me right now? Because that's been a lot of data. We're going to start with a 10-question quiz to see what you remember here. No, I seriously do love school improvement planning because I think it sets your tone and your vision for the school year. They have mentioned a lot of the same information here, and I would like to take you back to the 2023 school year. On that year, we had the SAT test. 2024, they redesigned the SAT, totally different, the new SAT. And then we were fortunate last year to have the ACT. So our teachers have had 3 tests in 3 years. So with that change from the SAT to the ACT, and as they mentioned, right sizing, it's hard to compare apples to apples, right? But I will do my best shot at that. And that highlighter green there is the best that I can do to compare apples to apples and show you what the ACT looked like compared to the SAT. And you will see growth all along the way, and that is really awesome. So proud of my teachers. 33% of our students met or exceeded on that. But however, with that said, they right-sized it. As Dr. Smith said, for years, College Board had a number here. That's what it meant to get into college. SIU, University of Kentucky. This is what you needed. But the state of Illinois, under Governor Ronner, said, let's raise those numbers up. There was no science behind it. It didn't make sense. But now that they've right-sized it, look at our number. 53% of our students meeting or exceeding on it. So with change comes more change here. And so for years, we have used the Horizons assessment to gauge where our students at. The Horizons assessment is designed to mimic an SAT, ACT. Well, that company got bought out by a company called Progress Learning, which we actually love, but it does come with some cautionary tales here. If you look at our 9th grade data, beginning of the year in freshmen, 23% proficient and above. I should mention that grammar is not really a standard for our K-8 students. So that's where you can see our students coming in at 23%. But if you flip over to 10th grade here, where we have been working on that, you can see 67% of our students are proficient or above. Now, that is cautionary because it's the first time we've used progress learning. It's almost, we feel that those numbers are overinflated. We hope that they're not, because that number would be awesome to start the school year off with. And if you go to our 11th grade, and 11th grade is the most important to us because this is our class that is tested. This is the class that goes on the school report card. And once again, we're cautionary about our data because it says 64% of our students are meeting or exceeding. Last year, we ended at 53%. So if we could get 64, that would be awesome. So as we started looking at our school goal going into next year, which I will come back to, reading here. Now that is a skill that is taught. 45% of our freshmen are currently proficient and above. If you look at our 10th grade, 74% are currently listed as proficient and above. In our 11th grade, that really important class, 70%. So these numbers seem extremely high. That's why we're cautionary with progress learning. Are the numbers overinflated? We won't know until we get some more trend data on there. So as we started setting our goals, we went back to what's called the 10th grade pre-ACT. That's an official assessment by ACT. So we took our current 11th graders, the tested group, we looked at their 10th grade, and last year 55% of our students were proficient or above. So we set our goal, pretty aggressive to be quite honest, at 65% of our students. And when you think back, last year 53%, and if we could get 65, that would be extremely awesome. With the changes, that was a big shock to us, reading is not assessed on a state report card. And it is, but for us, reading is a hallmark skill. It's a cornerstone skill. So we're going to continue to monitor it because that is for college and career readiness. So we took it from 44% and our end of the year goal is 54%. Changes, CFA transition. For years, we built our CFAs on Google Forms. We had to find ACT, SAT type questions. It's built into progress learning. So we are all transferring that, which gives us a more robust assessment system. We're going to differentiate it because it took so long to build these assessments. Now we can cater it to the individual class and the individual student. We're doing a lot of ACT data review. We just took that practice ACT test. We're looking through those reading and ELA skills and really targeting certain indicators on that. And something that we noticed last year with our students is reading stamina. For a high school student to sit down and read an article is really difficult. So that is just a baseline that we are working on. And PLC, data-driven adjustments. We want to use all of our PLC time to make data-rich decisions. For so long, we spent so much time going back to that first one, building CFAs, inputting the data. Now we get our data just like within seconds, so we can make action statements to it. So that's what we have going on for ELA. Now math here, once again, it's the same tell, 3 tests in 3 years. Look at 2023. Look at that purple. 14.5 of our students were proficient. That is when the PLC conversation really got deep, and we knew that we had to make changes to our curriculum. That's when the state average was 25.9. Now, if I look at that highlighter green and I try to compare apples to apples, this year, 29%. That's apples to apples. You just looked 2 years ago, 14.5. Is that not incredible? And then once you right size that data, 39% of our students are now on target. So those are adjustments that we're seeing. Once again, our progress learning, we are concerned about our 9th grade students coming in. This is our beginning of the year test before much instruction has started. 12% of our students are considered proficient or above. So we got to work on that to grow those numbers. If you go into our 10th grade, you can see 56% of our students are now proficient and above. Once again, it's a cautionary tell. Is it the new test? Is our numbers overinflated? We're not sure because we don't have trend data with this new assessment tool. Our 11th graders who will be tested are currently at 48%. which we use that data to go into our goal for next year. So as 10th graders, 34% of our students were considered proficient or above. So by the end of the school year, once they go from sophomores to juniors to the official ACT, we hope to hit 40%. That is a very aggressive growth considering last year's juniors were 29%. Then you go 3 years before, 14.5. How amazing would that be? And it's once again that transition with our CFAs on progress learning. Now we're able to build robust assessments much quicker and use the data to make data action decisions. We're differentiating those CFAs by content, whether that's stats, pre-calc, algebra, honors algebra. We're able to really differentiate. We're doing an ACT data review. Our teachers work on the ACT and they actually take the ACT, because we have 2 new math teachers, so it's really important that we get them accustomed to that test and what's on there. And they've already been going through that. The math ACT, I would argue, is one of the most difficult portions of the test. So that's why you will see a second semester ACT study hall, and we will do a 2-week boot camp on that. So that is our plans in math. Our SEL, which is related to our 5 essentials, our 5 essentials data has been strong. We're very proud of those numbers, but we want to dig into that SEL component of it. And so this year we have an MTSS coordinator, and this year we're focusing on really bringing all of our systems together. We offer START, ACE, these are SEL-based classes, but we wanted to bring in a research-based curriculum, and that's the core curriculum, where we can monitor students. It's pretty cool to see all the SEL stuff going on at the high school, whether it's PE, whether it's in our classes, pre and post test, where we can go in with fidelity and know that we are making SEL changes for our students. And lastly, when it comes to attendance, look at that, 16% of our students. If you look among high schools in our county and in our conference, we are near the bottom when it comes to absenteeism, and as Deb pointed out, 25.4 is the average. So when you start getting to those low numbers like 16, you're not going to see that data like we're anticipating in math and ELA like 10%. So we want to decrease that by just 1% for next year on this. So our goal is to go from 16 to 15%. Now we're getting into the scenario where it's not just introducing new practices, it's holding on to past practices that have worked and having that analysis. A new practice we brought in this year, September, is National Attendance Month, so we did a big ceremony. I don't know if you got to see Mr. Jarman and Mr. Meyer when they dyed their hair. That was a part of the ceremony. Miss Resnick's class fell just short. I was going to shave my head. That didn't happen. They fell just short, but it was a lot of fun. We have introduced student and parent progress reports. So just like the report card, our students get progress reports on attendance, as do the parents. And we send those text messages. That is a practice that we've been doing for a couple of years now that works very well. And we focus a lot on those bubble kids. Hey, we would love to see your kid on Monday morning. And we send those messages out to our students via email, just trying to raise that encouragement. This year we did a student survey on attendance, on why do you not come to school? What is the barriers keeping you from coming? That's the nice thing about high school, you can just ask the student. And one question that really stuck out to us was, if I didn't show up to school, would anybody notice? We had 50 kids who marked, nobody would notice. So you know what we did? We printed that list, we gave it to the teachers, and we said, when that student is not at school, we want you to make them feel noticed. And teacher did it the first week. Kid wrote back the nicest email saying, hey, I'm so happy that you noticed me. It makes me feel cared for, that I have somebody who reaches out. And at the end of the day, it's all about relationships to get kids there, which led us to the next piece, attendance support conversation. So what we're doing, 2 facets. We are inviting our parents in and our students just for an attendance conversation. What are your barriers to getting to school? And students who have missed, because at high school, if you're unexcused, you get detentions. If the parent will come in and have a meeting with us, we will take detentions off because our whole goal is to get you to school. Let's have that productive conversation. What is it preventing you from getting there? And so I do want to compliment our faculty, our staff for all their contributions to this. Great job to the K-8s as well. I'm excited about all the good stuff because that will lead up to the high school. Any questions? Thank you.
She's busy. We'll go with you.
I submitted my written report for operations and finance, but I did want to highlight that this past Monday, members of the ADA and Dr. Griffin and I met about with the stipend committee, and we hammered out the final piece of that. But the real thing I wanted to do was say thank you to everybody that's put up with me for the last 3 months, as I've tried to untangle that, and I've made lots of phone calls and emails and basically harass people to get this straightened out. But I think it'll go a lot better moving forward, and I wanted to publicly say thank you to everybody that's helped.
Yes.
So first I just want to say, on October the 10th, we had our full day Institute Day, and it was really exciting. You heard a lot of the principals talk about it in their school improvement plans about how important that unit planning and that CFA data is. And so we were able to get a speaker come in and work with our pre-K to second grade teachers. I was fortunate enough to work with our 3rd grade through 8th grade, and then the high school, like Mr. Newell said, did a lot of, they took the ACT, and then they were able to start working on those. So it was just great to see that training happening in the morning, and then in the afternoon I was able to make my way around the buildings and just see the teachers diving in, working together, collaborating, having some tough and uncomfortable conversations at some point, right? Because change is hard for anyone. So I just am so appreciative at how passionate our teachers are about doing what's best for students. And even though that puts them in an uncomfortable spot sometimes to make change, they are willing to do that and put in the work. And then the other thing that I just wanted to share was our AI policy committee met this past week. And so we have been spinning a lot of ideas, coming up with a lot of different things, but we are proposing a policy to the policy committee to look at and review before they recommend that to you as the board. And what this policy that we came up with really is going to talk about the intent and the process that the district is going through to develop a plan for the buildings to follow. And so we have that going on, and then we're also now going to start looking at the adult usage of AI. And so we're working on sending out a survey to our staff to gather all of the different ways that they utilize it. We're going to be talking about how it can impact the board in different ways that they can utilize it. But we're kind of putting the student portion on hold until we get more guidance from ISB on July 1st of this coming year, and working on the adult side of it. So hopefully soon the policy committee sends that through to you guys, and we'll have a board policy for you to vote on coming soon.
Alright, a few things. So during the Institute Day that Alyssa was talking about, we had an attorney come in through Region 3 and talk with all of our psychologists, social workers, and speech pathologists, nurses. And one thing that she talked about was, I think I've talked about this before, next year is our first cyclical monitoring. Every 6 years, the district will go through this. The state will come in, look at IEPs and such. And so she kind of did, so last year was the first one that several districts around the country, around the state participated in. And so our attorney had compiled suggestions that the state had made to those districts that went through it last year, and so had a presentation. And we felt good, and a lot of us really felt good about some things happening, so I think that was kind of a confidence boost for everyone as well. Like Mackenzie said, our integrated bowling, we have sectionals this Sunday. Super excited about that. I've gotten to go a couple of Saturdays to be the supervisor. It's been a lot of fun. Last week, I spent about 95% of my week at benchmark meetings, but it's super fun to be in there hearing about all the great things that our special education teachers are doing, and a lot of great problem solving from that. And then tomorrow, super excited, Alexis and I are going to spend the afternoon talking with East and our preschool staff about MTSS. So we have a lot, like Chrissy said, we have a lot of great components, and we're just going to put it all together and have that mirror our K-12. And so super, super excited. It's been a long time coming. We've had some turnover in preschool, and so I really feel like our staff is ready to go. So super excited about that tomorrow afternoon, because really, who doesn't want to problem solve on a Friday afternoon, right? So it'll be great. I love my brain power.
Jill?
So we have our final Eagle Eye discussion on Monday night with the K-5 buildings. We're going to do it all together this year. Last year we had a Eagle Eye discussion at Bethalto East. We had one at Parkside, and we had one at Meadowbrook. And the attendance at the K-5 level, ironically, last year wasn't as it wasn't what we thought it would be. So this year we're going to go ahead and combine their Eagle Eye discussions, and that'll be Monday night at Parkside, and that's our final one for the year. We had parents, students, staff at Trimpe and the high school this last week. Well attended, great nights. Both Justin and Laura did a fantastic job showcasing the data and information from their buildings, and then that it really lends itself to great conversation and dialogue later on, where everyone comes around the table and discusses the things that are going well and the things that we need to continue to work on in areas of continued growth. So just want to thank everyone who's attended those. Another thing I wanted to point out is the board has directed me with the increase in FOIAs lately at the district level to go back to reading them at board meetings. What we'll do is we'll go back to reading who sent the FOIA, what the FOIA was about, and then the amount of legal fees attached to it. So just a reminder to the public, those are always a month or so behind. So we'll begin reading those again in open session at the November board meeting, so the public knows the amount of taxpayer dollars being spent on FOIAs. And again, that's a practice that the board's asked me to implement again, and we'll start next month, especially with us recording meetings now. I think it's important for our taxpayers to know that. So, lots of great things happening. Athletes and band members at the K-5 level yesterday. Derek Jarman, Nick Smith, and myself took 2 buses full of these kiddos to the K-5 buildings and asked them to push into our classrooms at the end of the school day, because it was a PLC day, to discuss what it means to be a teammate and other topics. We ended up running a little short on time. We started at Parkside in the activity. One of our students made up the activity, and it took a little bit longer than we anticipated. So Parkside got all of it, and then East and Meadowbrook got more of a meet and greet. But you live and you learn, right? And so talked to Jarman on the way back, and we said, what are some changes and things that we'll make the next month when we do this? And what we'll do is probably go to one school instead of going to all 3 and stay there for about 30 minutes. And I put over 40 pictures out on Facebook, because if you could see the looks on their little faces, they were so excited. Sweet little Cash McCoy in kindergarten, his big brother came in to talk to him, and you would have thought, you saw a superstar. So it was just it was something Derek Jarman wanted to do. Nick Smith wanted to do it with the football team. And Jarman said, you can't just do football, we got to do all sports. You know how that goes. And so we met in the middle and we compromised, and we took all of our athletes out. And it was just a great afternoon. So it was just a wonderful activity, and something I'm excited to continue to build on. And finally, I think I put this on Facebook too. I started my day today at 7 a.m. at Alt Memorial with Angie Parrish and our medical occupations 2 kiddos. You guys, they came last school year, and they talked about this program to all of you. You had kids standing there telling you all the great things they're seeing. And I remember hearing it and thinking about how excited I was, and I told Angie, I said, I just want to see it. I just need to see what it looks like. Watching her with our kids and in this hospital environment, I don't even know how to put it into words. Watching her come in, and then they all come into the hospital, and they're going into the ER. They're going into the ICU. I watched a young lady scrub in, and she went into the nursery. They had just delivered a baby, and she went into the nursery. They allow them to immerse into the hospital experience. They're not they're on the heels of those nurses or whoever they're shadowing. And Angie goes to each department and checks each kid in with an adult to make sure that they feel comfortable. She's given them pep talks in the elevator as we're going up and down the hospital floors. But it was incredible to see. I can't say enough about this program. Sometimes you have to see it in order to understand and believe it. And then what they do is, so they started at Alton Memorial. She had a group start at Alton Memorial. She had a different group start at St. Anthony's. And so we get done checking all these kids into all the different departments. And then she's like, all right, now we're going to St. Anthony's. I'm like, all right, let's go. So I followed her to St. Anthony's, did the exact same thing. All of these kids are going into all of these different departments. The speech pathologist has taken one of them into her department, and just, I mean, it was incredible. And then I said, I have a board meeting tonight. I got to get back. So they all went to Anderson Hospital after that. So our kids are getting 2 different experiences at different hospitals, and they're figuring it out in high school. I'm going to use Mackenzie Newell because I feel like I can. Mackenzie Newell was one of them today. Mackenzie Newell thought she wanted to be a dermatologist. Then she went into the wound care unit and she saw what it was like to take care of a wound. And she quickly decided that that was not for her anymore. But I'd rather her figure that out in high school on our dime than him send her to college and her figure that out as a freshman or sophomore in college. And so now she's going to be a speech pathologist maybe. So anyway, I mean, but what a great thing for kids to figure out. And they're going, you know, I was talking to all of them as we were going all over the hospital and asking them what they think they want to do and what they're interested in. And some of them want to be cardiologists, some of them want to be ENTs. But all of them at the beginning of the school year provide Angie with a list of things they're interested in. So they're not really sure. She gives them a whole host of things that exist within that hospital setting, and they pick and prioritize what's important to them. And then she works to pair them up with the departments that align with their interests. And we had some people that say they want to be future physical therapists, like our board president. And maybe they will, maybe they won't, I don't know. But regardless, it was an incredible experience. And I felt really energized when I came back today, being with our kids and seeing these opportunities and these pathways that we're putting in front of kids. We do it in our American Education program too. We do it for our future teachers, and we're doing it in our medical occupations program. And I know they're looking at other ones along the way, but it was just an incredible experience. And I was so just humbled today to see how welcoming the hospital was and how they treated our kids and how immersed our kids truly were in the hospital and medical field today. So thank you to Angie Parrish. You are making an impact. There is no question about that, and I just appreciate all the work being done at our high school, and especially with this college and career pathway work, because I think it's really, really important, and I'm really grateful for what's happening. So just good stuff. Sorry I went on and on.
Okay, moving on. I need a motion to review and approve the following personnel actions. Non-certified hires, Matthew Douglas, custodian, CMHS, Linda Ricks, bus monitor, Melissa Williams, bus monitor, Samantha Flanagan, bus monitor, Rick Schmidt, kitchen staff, snack shack, CMHS. Non-certified resignations, Vera Self, custodian, Bethalto East, Elizabeth Lagia, kitchen staff at CMHS. Non-certified recipient offers, Angela Alsman, custodian, CMHS. Extracurricular hires, Robin Canelka, esports assistant coach, CMHS. Extracurricular resignations, Rachel Book, GSA sponsor, chair, CMHS. Rachel Book, lifesaver sponsor, chair, CMHS. Jacob Book, lifesaver sponsor / chair, CMHS. Paige Bull, color guard instructor, CMHS.
Motion.
Roll call.
Herdy. Yes.
Zerner.
Yes.
Potter. Yes. Ruffin. Yes. Vogel.
Yes.
Meisner.
Yes. I need a motion to review and approve the MOU with VESPA regarding negotiations.
Second.
Potter. Yes. Murphy, yes. Wolfle?
Yes.
Miser.
Yes. I need a motion to review and approve the updated revised stipend schedule. Roll call.
Kirby?
Yes.
Zimmerman?
Yes.
Potter? Yes. Murphy, yes. Wolfle?
Yes.
Miser.
Yes. I need a motion to review and approve the transfer to district Visa cards from credit lines in the amount of $18,000. Motion. Roll call.
Kirby?
Yes.
Zimmerman?
Yes.
Potter? Yes. Murphy, yes. Wolfle?
Yes.
Miser.
Yes. I will take any public comment at this time.
Can we have the young lady behind the board over there come out and introduce herself? I spoke to her briefly.
I'm a sophomore at CM, and I'm in media club, and I'm just working the cameras today.
Are you interested in the media field?
Not really, but it's a fun activity.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your help.
Thank you.
Also need a motion to adjourn.
I will make that motion.
All in favor, say aye.